Alright, what's going on, guys? I am bringing you my top 5 S&D players in Advanced Warfare. This is going to be the start of my top 5s. I was planning on doing S&D players, ARs, players, and maybe OBJ as well. If you guys have any other suggestions, leave it down in the comments. Also, pause the video right now. Leave me your top 5 S&D players. It doesn't have to be in order. If you want to put it in order, you can. We'll see how our lists compare at the end of the video. And then another thing I was going to do differently for this one and for all the top 5s is I'm going to do 2 top 5s in one video. And what I mean by that is I'm going to do one that's based strictly on stats, where I just rank the top 5 based on their stats, and I'm going to do another one where I do it off my opinion plus their stats. They're obviously different because, you know, stats don't tell the full story, but I like to recognize both people, the people who I think personally are good and the people who have performed the best. I think that's the best way to do it. That's the way I'm going to probably do it for all the top 5. The last thing, I'm not including any players that have been to only like 2 or 3 lands because I feel like it's not fair. You know, kind of the same reasoning I had for my top 10. So I'm not including any Stun/Aware or TR players because they've only been to 2 or 3 lands. Everyone else on the list has been to 5. I just feel that's a little bit unfair just in terms of consistency to compare the two. By the end of the year, I'll say they'll be eligible to be in the list, but for now, they're kind of not eligible. Even though they do have the stats, I just don't want to put them in there until they've been to more lands. Other than that, I think we can get started with the top 5. So I'm going to start with the statistical one, and then we'll go to my opinion ones. Number 5, Attach. 7.1 average kills and 1.16 KD. These are the 2 stats I took into account. I would have taken in the First Bloods into account, but they didn't keep track of it for any event except for champs, so I felt like it was kind of stupid to just include it from one event. You can see the KD and the average kills. I'm not going to talk too much about these because it's obviously 100% based on stats. You guys can see the stats. I think his best event was either champs, at least KD wise it was champs. In my opinion, average kills means more than KD. I'd much rather have someone on S&D who goes 10-6 as opposed to someone who goes 5-0. Just feel like the person who went 10-6 influenced the map a lot more and you know, helped their team out more. So anyways, Attach, number 5. Number 4, Fizzer. I was actually questioning whether or not to put him on the list because he's only been to 4 lands, but I think 4 is a decent amount. He only missed 1 land. He did miss season 1, but anyways, higher KD and higher average kills than Attach. You guys can see he had a really good Columbus event, averaging 9 kills. That's amazing. Overall, I mean, everyone knows Fizz is one of the best S&D players, has been for a very long time. Number 3, we have Saints. Same KD as Fizzer, higher average kills. I can easily say that his best event was Regionals, almost a 1.5 KD and almost 9 average kills. Number 2, we have Scum, which I was actually extremely surprised to see Scum's stats. They're actually the second best stats. He averages 8 kills with a 1.3 KD. Best event, Regionals as well, but he also had a pretty good champs. Actually, he had a really nice Orlando as well, almost averaged 9 kills, but I think Regionals probably his best if you know, factor in, he had a pretty high KD and he dropped 8 kills a map, pretty good. Number 1, I think a lot of you probably already know, Parasite. And the thing that just jumps out to me about Parasite, extremely high average kills, extremely high KD, but if you take a look at that Orlando event, 12 average kills per map. That's insane. That's actually insane. And with a 1.8 KD, so he was literally going like 12-7 every S&D. That's some crazy individual statistics right there. But you can see he had a really good Regionals and a really good Orlando, but even his other 2 events were pretty good as well. Also, for all the stats, they didn't have an average kill stat for season 1. That's why all of them are blank. Don't think I like forgot it or something. Now we're gonna get into my personal top 5 using a little bit of stats, but also just me watching and me knowing the players. Number 5, Scum. Honestly, he wouldn't have even made my list if his stats weren't so fucking insane. I really feel like he stepped up his S&D, but I don't know, like when I think of Scum, I don't think of an S&D player. Like that's not something I personally think of, but his stats are just literally the second best in the game, so I had to include him in my top 5. Like, you gotta reward stats at a certain point, but obviously second best stats, in my opinion, doesn't mean second best player. Scum, number 5. Number 4, Killa. His stats actually aren't that good, to be honest. His Columbus was extremely low, but you see progression from there. But his champ stats, he did have the highest champs KD, really good average kills as well with 7, but his overall stats aren't that great. If you just know Killa, you know he's one of the best S&D players, self-proclaimed the best, and he was a champs, I mean, I guess KD wise at least, so that's pretty cool. But you know, Killa's someone that you definitely want on your team for S&D. He brings out those weird strats and stuff sometimes, but overall, just he's actually like a really smart player. I feel like he doesn't get credit for that because he's so goofy, but he's actually like really smart when it comes to Call of Duty. Maybe not in real life or whatever, but when it comes to Call of Duty, he's pretty smart. Number 3, Fizz. The stats, they speak for themselves. Extremely good. You guys already seen him before. But you know, Fizz, that's another person, man. He's just known for being an extremely good S&D player. Definitely someone you want on your team for S&D. He brings some of the weird strats as well, just like Killa. You know, he's always using weird shit or whatever. But at the end of the day, he's one of the smartest players S&D wise. He's the type of player that can, you know, single-handedly just win you maps. Alright, number 2, Parasite. Highest stats in the game S&D wise. That Orlando event just really obviously jumps out to me, is that was an amazing individual performance. But once again, just one of the smarter players, one of the probably top 5 smartest S&D players, smartest overall players, I'd say. He really is one of the smarter players in the game. Doesn't really do as much like weird shit as Killa or Fizz. Obviously plays more of a straight up play style, but I mean, the stats speak for themselves. Just another player, man. He can single-handedly win you maps. You know, he's always dropping numbers in S&D, as you can see from the averages. And you know, if you got someone on your team averaging 12 kills a map on S&D, you should not be dropping an S&D. At that point, all your teammates gotta do is get a few kills and you'll win. So you know, when someone can do that, you know they deserve to be in the top 5. Now, number 1, I feel like some people will be surprised by this, some people won't be. At the end of the day, I'll tell you my logic behind it. But number 1, Krim. The stats are not very good, to be honest. To be quite honest, the stats are not good for Krim at all, but they're decent. They're not awful. A bit inconsistent. You can see with Orlando and Champs, bit inconsistent, but he did have a really nice Columbus average kills wise and a good KD at regionals. You guys can see he has his, you know, events here and there, a little bit inconsistent, but this was my logic when I was thinking about this. Here's the situation. It's a 1v1. It doesn't have to be 1v1. 1v4, 1v2, 1v3, 1v1. Doesn't matter. All that matters is you have one person alive versus, you know, the other team. 5-5, last map at COD Champs, 100k each up on the line for your team. You're dead. You're spectating your teammate. Who do you want alive? And I had 3 names that really jumped out to me. First one was Krim, the second one was Karma, and the third one was Ache. Those are just 3 players are just proven to clutch up. Krim speaks for himself. I mean, he's easily, undoubtedly, statistically, and just watching the game, been the best S&D player in my opinion for the last 2 years in Black Ops 2 and Ghost. So many clutches, just the stats in Ghost just were insane. Karma, same thing, so many clutches, the ninja diffuses and stuff. Karma just does like the most crazy plays. And Aches, think back to FaZe versus Optic at Columbus, first event of the year. How many 1v1s or 1v2s did he clutch versus Optic when they won the 2 best of 5? I don't know. These are the 3 players that just kind of immediately came to my mind when I thought of that situation. Like if I was dead and my teammate was alive and he had to clutch up to win me 100k, I gotta pick Krim. That's just a player that I picked. 100%, I would trust him out of anyone else to win me that 100k. So that's why I put Krim at number 1. Even though those stats aren't there, just I guess mainly just off reputation alone. Had his fair share of clutches in AW as well. So anyways, that was my reasoning for everything. I'll do a quick honorable mentions for top 5 that I thought were pretty good players as well. Clay, he would be in a top 10 statistically, and most likely in my opinion as well, he'd be in a top 10. Karma, top 10 statistically, also would be a top 10 in my opinion. Saints, top 10, well, he's top 5 statistically. He would be in my top 10 on opinion only. Aches would be in my top 10 on opinion only. Stats, they're not there. I think he's like maybe like top 20 on stats. Formal, top 10 on stats, and he'd probably be on my top 10 opinion wise as well. But I don't know. Those are just some quick honorable mentions. Attach as well. Top 10 on my opinion, but I don't know. Anyways, those are my honorable mentions. That's my top 5. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me your thoughts on everything down below. What top 5 you want to see next, what your top 5 is for S&D. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like rating if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're not already. Follow me on Twitter. Links in the description down below. Other than that, have a good day and peace out.